Hi, it's Bryson here, just out in nature, enjoying this lovely slough. Basically, it's another name for like a type of a swamp. It's a pretty large slough, so it's kind of more of a lake. Have a nice little pit dug out here where I have a little fire going. I've got my hammock back there in the woods. I'm just out here having a lovely evening out in nature. And wanted to speak a little bit about a concept. It's a consciousness spirituality concept from the East, but it has a lot of similarities to things that we talk about in the West. And it's called Samadhi. And Samadhi is related to a lot of Eastern religions, particularly Dharmic religions, ones that are native to the Indian subcontinent. And the best way I can describe it, and I need to make sure that I clarify that in trying to explain it, I'm still not explaining what it is, because it is beyond what we normally see as everyday experience and consciousness. But I'm going to try the best I can to describe it. But it is basically a non-dualistic, egoless state of consciousness. And the reason why I said earlier that it's hard for me to describe this is that the language that we use in this realm, it is by nature dualistic. Every word, every point you can put out, someone else can meet that point with an equal dualism that equally opposes whatever position you're trying to oppose. And this is why we just run ourselves in circles, going crazy, arguing about politics, arguing about all kinds of, different philosophies, and we never agree. This is because it's a dualistic reality. But what this Samadhi is it is a moment where you completely detach from the egoic identity that you normally identify with, and just exist as a pure, non-dualistic consciousness that is something and nothing, paradoxically at the same time. And I know that some people are going to think that sounds totally crazy, but many times that I've reached this state, it has been out in nature, just in a very meditative, contemplative state of mind, where I will be, just out somewhere peaceful like this, just like how I'm just listening to the nice, tide rolling in, and looking at the lovely, forest that is, across the lake. And when Samadhi comes, it comes very unexpectedly, because like I said, it's a consciousness that is also nothingness. And I'm going to give you one particular specific time that it happened. So I was at the Garden of the Gods at Shawnee National Forest, and I was watching the sunset on the day of the Great Conjunction. And as the sun was coming down, I got into such a state of meditative bliss that I completely forgot who I was. I completely forgot about my identity as Bryson, that I've identified as in this lifetime. I forgot about all of the various political dualities, and the best way I can describe it is that there was no sense of separation between myself and the entirety of what we call experience, the entirety, of all that is. And what's crazy about it is I was watching the sunset out on the horizon, just like I'm going to watch the sunset today on the horizon. And there came a moment where suddenly I realized that I was in such a blank state of mind that I was no longer distinguishing between the horizon and the various like the rolling hills and kind of mountainous terrain, and then the bluffs that are there. And it all kind of just blended together. And a lot of people who speak about Samadhi, if you speak to a lot of spiritual speakers about Samadhi, they will talk about how you can only remember the moment when you basically come back from Samadhi. So what I can basically describe when I began to come back from this blissful, blank meditative state that I was in as I watched the sunset is that the horizon suddenly kind of started blending back a little bit, but it was still scrambled, kind of like, for those who are old enough, you may remember when there were certain channels that your parents didn't order through cable. You see like the kind of, scrambly waviness, but you can sort of like begin to start making things out. So that's kind of like what it was. So basically I hit a point of basically zero consciousness, of complete bliss, egoless, dualistic identity, where I did none of these political, philosophical attachments that I have created in this persona called Bryson, which persona, as I've probably said before in other videos, is the name of the masks that were worn by ancient Greek and Roman actors. So it's the persona is the mask we put out. And in this moment, I was this totally personaless consciousness. And then gradually the scenery came back into view. And all I can say is that this state of Samadhi, I mean, I'm sure there are some people who are listening to this who think it's bullshit, and that's fine. This state of Samadhi exists within every single human being. Every single human being is connected to the one source consciousness that we all are attached to. And you are playing a role. You are wearing the persona, the mask of the actor. And at any moment, we can return to this place of bliss. And one of the places where I find that bliss is nature. I know that nature is not for everybody, but everyone can find their own ways to connect to that Samadhi, or another way that I call it, and this is going to sound paradoxical, but it is like an egoless God consciousness. Now, I know that that's going to sound contradictory, because a lot of people say, well, how do you get into what you call God consciousness and not be egocentric? Well, it's because this consciousness exists in a non-dualistic space. We live in a world of dualistic language, and so we are conditioned to never consider that there are non-dualistic ways to perceive the world, and if we could all understand this, there'd be a lot less conflict in this world. Because I do truly believe that most human beings are well-meaning, good people, and even if they have a political belief or philosophical belief or religious belief or non-religious belief that may threaten your egoic attachments, that they don't mean to personally harm you, because when you go into this state of Samadhi, this blank oneness consciousness that recognizes that everyone is you and you are everyone, you begin to realize like everything is okay. We're playing out this drama, but at the end of the day, we are all safe. So I know it seems scary out in the world right now, and it's not easy to see the world as safe right now. But if you are conscious, you are safe, because your consciousness is currency. And so I know I kind of rambled on a little bit, but I know that some people are not going to understand what I'm speaking about, because unfortunately this Samadhi consciousness, it is something that is beyond what we normally describe in this world through this dualistic language. And so to describe an egoless dualistic consciousness, it's not easy. But I'm sure that there are some people who do understand, because you've probably felt this yourself. And like I said, everybody has the ability to find it. So anyway, that's enough rambling for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and hope you guys are taking care of yourselves, and you have a lovely rest of your day wherever you are.